Hello and welcome to Ladies of the PGS. I'm your host, and of course, we have with us tonight Lorena Creole. How are you, Lorena?
I am doing great. So glad to be back here on the Burnett work here on the Ladies of the PGS with you.
Absolutely, Lorena. I couldn't be the Ladies of the PGS without you. And of course, there's so much to talk about, Lorena. So much going on in entertainment. These trailers, Lorena, we had the dry spell, there was nothing. And then we get these amazing trailers. Just last week, you and I were marveling over how cool and entertaining the
Hmm.
Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special was.
Yes.
It was great to see another Guardian show. It had all the elements of the Guardians we love, the characters. They kept to their true form.
Mhm.
And even the writing of the jokes that you would expect from the Guardians was there. You and I were just so amazed. You said you played it twice. I said I played it twice.
Yes.
It's like such a wonderful story. It even taught you, what doing and caring for others means, responsibility. And it was fabulous. But that was a 45-minute long show. So,
Hmm.
I think that with so many of the missteps that we've been seeing these days with major motion pictures out there, knowing that Guardians 3 has just released their trailer, what
Hmm.
do you think about this in the sense of them putting out this trailer? I mean, have you seen the trailer, Lorena?
Yes, I saw the trailer, actually watched it 3 times, actually did a reaction on my lunchtime show. And let's just say the fact that they included the sound of the dodgeball when it hit somebody, it was like off into the races and the humor that just bounced off of that. And it was just great. It like went from the humor that that you expect from the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, what we've expected to, so much so that when it starts to drop you into the parts that pull at you, that are so heartbreaking, it's just like you just can't help but feel attached and actually have an emotional reaction because of how the trailer started. So I don't know who in marketing is responsible for this trailer, but the rest of Marvel and Disney need to pay attention because this is how you do a trailer.
Yeah, Lorena, we've been seeing crazy marketing. Like these are crazy days. I've never seen movies that come out that have no marketing at all.
Mhm.
Movies that are doing well that really have been promoted. Movies that don't have mass appeal but have $100 million worth of promotion thrown into it, knowing very well it's not going to appeal to mass crowds of people. Even trailers that just don't reflect the movie at all, as in the case for me, Black
Mhm.
Adam, where that trailer had absolutely no reflection on the fun and popcorn excitement that Black Adam had. I have to agree with you though, Lorena, that this trailer really was amazing to watch. It felt like a Guardians of the Galaxy film that's going to be coming up. It had that feel to it. And there is a lot that's going on in the trailer and everything. And I have to be honest with you, Lorraine, it's been a while since I've watched the Guardian of the Galaxy movies. What about you?
Been a little while. I would say maybe about a year. And I think I said this in the last show that I didn't watch the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie when it came out because so many people were talking about it. I'm just like, yeah, it can't really be that good, right? And then I happened to watch Infinity War and got introduced to the Guardians of the Galaxy. That way, I'm like, okay, let me go back and watch the movies. And I did and absolutely loved them. The second movie has the best opening credit scene that I've seen in the longest freaking time. I never tire of watching that. So it's maybe about 2 years since I've seen Guardians of the Galaxy 2. But everything fell into place for me. Granted, I didn't read the comics, just to let y'all know that. But it didn't feel like it was off from the movies or the 45-minute holiday special. that they did for Christmas. All of it was seamless, and as a matter of fact, it was absolutely flipping genius that they put this trailer out not too long after they put that special out on Disney Plus. So again, fabulous job. Whoever worked on it in marketing, this is how you do it.
Well, you make such a good point, Lorena, about the timing of when things are put out, so that those of us, especially like you, I'd never read the comics for this. I just fell in love with Guardians. Guardians happens to be my best friend's favorite MCU movies. All the guard, he's like, this is the best ones they've ever made. They're stunningly creative and fun and enjoyable. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'd love to join. I would love to be one of the Guardians. Like this is, I wouldn't mind being, even if they had to put little antennae on my head, I would not mind being part of this crew. Lorena, you talked about the timing. Timing is everything when it comes to the success and
Mm-hmm.
releases of a lot of these shows. We don't want to be in a position where we're like, well, why did they wait so long? And timing has not been great for a lot of reasons. We do know that, as you know, as entertainment analysts, looking at these franchises, we know that it has been a bit of a bumpy road when it comes to this, but clearly they had a very specific reason for timing things this way. I think it's going
Mm-hmm.
to come out in May of 2023, which is
Yes,
perfect time to release a
May 5th.
Guardians film, Lorena, because you know the summer is going to be packed with people seeing this film. It's going to do it incredibly well. To be honest with you, I'm just so excited about it. And, you know, in regards to them having any film that can deliver, I think this is going to be the one that's going to kind of, maybe people are going to say, yeah, at least they didn't mess up Guardians of the Galaxy, because even I was not too happy with how the Guardians were portrayed in Thor Love and Thunder. And, you know,
I
there's so
didn't
much
either.
more to this, Lorena, right? Because you and I were talking about this. It says here that it's James Gunn Swanstrong as writer director of the series took another step towards forward Thursday as the trailer was previewed, and Marvel previously released footage at D23 for it. The third
Mm-hmm.
and final, oh, it's the final film, Lorena.
Yeah, final one.
No more Chris Pratt. No,
At
no.
least not a Star Lord, you know.
No, I need him.
That's
We
tough.
need him, Lorena. He's almost, well, as far as I'm concerned, everybody, all the characters have incredible amount of heart, which makes maybe Guardians of the Galaxy the one with more appeal than all of the other films for me. But Chris Pratt has truly shown what an incredible actor he is in these films, because of the comedy and the fact that he cares as he's doing, you know, this character brought that
Mm-hmm.
alive along with the rest of the supporting cast. It says that Gamora will be in this. And it says Pratt reminds us we've been gone for quite a while, but no matter what happens next, the galaxy still needs its guardians, and also veterans like Batista, who we expect to see, Vin Diesel, Bradley Cooper,
Mm-hmm.
Sly Stallone, Elizabeth Debicki, Sean Gunn, Michael Rosenbaum. And then Will Poulter joins the ensemble as Adam Warlock, with Maria Bakalova voicing the part of Cosmo the space dog. It's going to be just unbelievable. It's a series that grossed more than $1.6 billion. Lorena, I think people are ready to go back to the theater and see Guardians because they enjoyed those first two films so much. I'm curious
Mm-hmm.
as to how they're going to fit Gamora, and I know nothing about the, you know, the details of what goes on, but I almost
Right.
don't even care, because I want that good feeling that the Guardians gave us. What about you?
Absolutely. I mean, granted, I didn't get to see it in the theater, which, you know, I felt kind of cheated in a way, because seeing it, you know, just at home, I was like, this would have been great, you know, seeing it in the theater. So this is definitely something that I'm looking forward to. I think a lot of people are looking forward to it. People want to go to the theater, but they don't want to feel as if they go to the theater to waste their money and time.
Absolutely. And, you know, unfortunately, we've been in a situation where we are seeing people showing up, spending so much money to go to the movies nowadays, Lorena.
Mhm.
It's a small fortune. You bring your entire family there only to find that the movie that you thought you were going to see is not at all the movie you thought you were going to see. So I
Right.
think that this Guardians of the Galaxy, I think what they did with this Christmas special is telling us very clearly what to expect. The same playfulness, the same heart and soul that we've gotten from Guardians of the Galaxy in the first two films, we're going to be getting in this third film. They didn't have to do a Christmas special, Lorena. They didn't have to. But what better way to promote the group than with something like this?
Exactly, and it's not a theatrical release, so it's going to be cheaper actually to put on Disney Plus. And what a great way, to market this. So they did it in a good way. They launched a special that was so good that dropping the trailer, people are like, "Yeah, I remember that special was pretty good." So yeah, good omen for part three.
Absolutely. And I hope I didn't misspeak. I know I said about going to the theater with popcorn in your hand, but I'm going to have popcorn at home, Lorena. I'm going to have my popcorn at home. And I'm going to
No
have
worries.
everything ready for this, Lorena. And we probably should do a watch party of Guardians just in general, because I almost feel like they're the heart and soul of this whole thing. I think that this is going to be a family friendly film that people can
Mhm,
have their children watch and not be afraid of what's in there. There isn't going to be any missteps. We haven't seen any missteps. Even the shot here where we kind of see them,
mhm.
they're quite cohesive and tight as a team still. And perhaps Star Lord is searching for something, the theme of, and I'm sorry to spoil it for everybody who has not seen the Christmas special, was that he was very sad. And if I remember correctly, Lorena, they were saying because Gamora was not around anymore, right?
That's right.
So I think that he's still hurting from this, and he may be a changed man. He still has the same thoughts and feelings in his mind in such an unusual galaxy, and all the different things that have happened to him. He himself is probably questioning a lot of things, and that might be something very important for him to deal with as a character. But I just can't wait for this. I think that it's going to be so enjoyable to watch the crew come together again. All those great moments.
Mhm.
I can't believe how excited I am about this. I can't wait for May. I'm just,
I know. I feel you. I feel you on this. I call the Guardians of the Galaxy, the merry band of misfits, your galactic family, galactic urban family, I guess you would call it. They're kind of like all together from different places, but they're just one cohesive, crazy group, and they're just fun to watch. We love to watch them screw up. We love to watch them, get stuff right. And another thing that they got right in the trailer is that all of the characters behave exactly as we remember them, you know.
yes, yes, there isn't that confusion as to why is this character doing something different that they don't normally
Mhm.
do. None of that. I have a feeling that we're going to be quite moved and touched.
That hit me when you saw like Baby Rocket. I was like,
Yeah.
oh God, y'all gonna make me start to cry because I love Rocket. I couldn't believe Bradley Cooper does his does his voice, and
Mhm.
it's oh I'm sad already. I look at this, I'll get sad all over again. But
Well, and
there's
we
so
did
much to look forward to.
some reveals, and I'm not going to get too into it, but we found out some different relationships of the characters in the Christmas special, which prepared is going apparently to prepare us for the movie. So Lorena and I are recommending anybody who wants to watch the movie coming up to please go ahead and watch that Christmas special first, because
Yeah.
there's some very important information in there you might want to find out more about, or at least understand as it goes forward. To see some different shots
I
here.
love that the Among Us callback. They had a dodgeball callback, and then you had the Among Us callback here.
Yes, absolutely. This is going to be incredible, Lorena. I just see if I can get it in a white, because it's kind of a darker image, but this is going to be incredible what we're seeing there. Just even those shots, and we can clearly see Gamora there.
Mhm.
So I'm really excited how that's going to turn out. It's certainly something to look forward to, and it feels good to look forward to a Guardians movie, especially because we know what they're able to accomplish with the crew. But that's not the only trailer. Oh my goodness, Lorena.
There's more.
There is more. And Lorena, have you watched The Boys?
I have not watched all of it. I think I got halfway through the first season and like got distracted with other things. So I've heard about it from people who love watching the show. So I have not watched all of it. Some of it was a little tough to watch, but writing wise, very, very solid.
Absolutely. I love The Boys. I like the shock value of it. I happen to have a favorite character. It's Homelander. I love Homelander. I think that Homelander is kind of, the perfect villain. I don't ever want
Hmm.
him to turn around and be a good guy. In fact, one of the last seasons, I think it was last season, where he was just like, you know what? I don't care what anybody thinks about me. I'm just going to be me. And I was like, yes, yes, because he's constantly having to make himself
Hmm.
look good to the public because he's Homelander. But
Yeah.
as a person, he's like, you know what? I don't care what any of you guys think. I'm just going to like what I like and do what I want to do. And I thought to myself, thank goodness he's finally becoming his own person. Not that he needed anyone's approval anyway, but um,
Hmm.
I think that in particular, The Boys really is a wonderful adaptation of
Hmm.
the comics, and they really did such a good job. At least I believe it's an adaptation of the comic, but I wanted to talk about a trailer for a series that is a shoot off from The Boys. It's called Gen, and I'm assume it's V because it has
Hmm.
to do with Vought Industries, and essentially what it is, and what I'm so kind of like intrigued about this, Lorena, is it's we've had to deal with all these Gen X, Gen Z, Gen millennial, like all these things.
Hmm.
It's supposed to be about I guess soups who are in college, and it's a college for adult superheroes that's run by bots, so it has to be corrupt, right?
Yeah, of course. Of
And
course.
this is what the description says: it explores the lives of hormonal competitive soups as they put their physical, sexual, and moral boundaries to the test, competing for the school's top ranking. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, Lorena, you know, I don't even know what it's like to be on a modern college campus anymore, because I feel like I went to college so long ago. It's so different on a campus now. This is going to be
Hmm.
like the opposite of what it's like to be on a campus these days, isn't it, Lorena?
I would think so. There's probably going to be some things that are familiar because they kind of have to get that, some of those standard college feels, college things, that are in their classes you don't want to go to at the ass crack of dawn, professors who were just boring, assistants who were useless, cafeteria food where guess what, got here too late, sorry, you don't get any, um just some of the standard college things, but also kind of turning things on their heads, so to speak. So it's going to be very interesting to see the idea. I almost want to say it's probably going to be run like a really, really, really corrupt private university. That's
um,
what I'm thinking.
Well, Lorena, for I don't know how many years we've been hearing about the way college campuses are these days. How people can't even go on the campus and speak. From soup to nuts, there's a
Hmm.
problem with everything, and I think it's going to be a refreshing turn of events to see a campus. Where let's say, what do they describe it as? I'm kind of lost the point here. Whatever is going down at that school involves a lot of bloodshed.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw, somebody using their superpowers to basically pull out somebody's intestines and use them to strangle people.
That's right. Um, So we are not talking about, this is not a politically correct school. This is not
No.
a politically correct kind of place. It seems like they're competing for top space, not just in classes, but maybe to be the next, Homelander, almost to be the leader of the boys, so to speak. And these
Hmm.
guys are serious about this competition. It's called Gen V, which is for Void Industries, as I said, but Lorena, it's refreshing to see a college campus the way that we remember college campus, like from Animal House, like from, these kind of crazy wild things
Van
that go on.
Wilder, Back to School,
Yes.
just the really crazy college comedies. And I agree with you. I think that they're going to take that, turn it on its head, and be very, very non PC.
I am so looking forward to this non-PC experience. I'm looking forward to all the crazy things that actually, I mean, I'm not going to say that they all happened to you and I, Lorena, because in college how we were ultra glamorous and perfect not, but you know what I mean.
Hmm.
I didn't do anything too crazy in college. We got through it. That's what we were there for. But something like this, where people are being constantly challenged and pushed, and we know how Vought is. They're not going to be like, well, it's okay that you're not doing well. They're going to say, get out there. And I want you to
Hmm.
rip their head off. And the person will be like, okay, I'll do it. Whatever you say, like this astonished look of this character's.
Yes. I saw that, just the look on her face and just like the blood on her face for what she had just witnessed. I'm like, yeah, yeah, this is gonna be it's gonna be nuts.
I'm hoping that, we already know it's going to be bloody. We know there's going to be fighting. We know there's going to be, kind of, it says that the story opens up with an introduction to the university, a
Hmm.
self-described safe place for superpowered teenagers to thrive. And the curriculum appears to have a much more punitive approach to the classic pass or fail format, with numerous shots revealing blood-soaked students, disemboweled security forces, as you mentioned, and deadly clashes amongst classmates. And it says at one point, Jazz Sinclair, as the show's lead, Marie Monroe, brushes off the usual college trials, saying, I'm superhuman, right? We're made of steel.
Feel right. You know what? The more, one of the vibes that I got from watching this trailer, and you tell me if you thought the same thing.
Mhm.
I was seeing callbacks to the X-Men, Professor Xavier's school. It's
Yes.
like a twisted version of that school. I'm like, what's the danger room look like? You just can't help but think about that, a school for exceptional teenagers, number one, because you couldn't really have them out there roaming around because they have these powers that they can't control and they don't understand and they don't know how to really live in the actual world. And that's what Professor Xavier's school was about in the first place. But come on, some of the stuff that they had to do.
Yeah.
I just, that just gave me a flashback looking at this trailer. I'm just like, that's going to be like Professor X's school on steroids. Just like, it's going to be so twisted.
Absolutely. I imagine these kids might have been those babies in the lab that they were injecting with Compound V. Who knows
Mhm.
where these kids came from? But it's such a breath of fresh air to maybe see people just be unique and kind of honest. That life is not a perfect show. That this constant checking of what someone's talking about, they don't
Mhm.
care. This is just the reality, the brutal reality of life, and the words perhaps maybe don't mean as much in this on this campus. Perhaps that's not the most important thing to these guys, just like in
Mhm.
real life. This hard work and dedication, often meaning ripping people's heads off, is something that they have to perfect and can only do at Vought V or Gen V,
Mhm.
university, if you will. So I think it's quite apropos that we're getting this now at the height of where we see these tensions at the universities and people coming in. I would love to be a speaker at this university, Lorena.
Funny you should mention that, because the favorite character that I haven't even seen him in action in the actual show. I've just seen him from clips, and that would be Soldier Boy.
Yes.
I want to see him roll up on campus doing recruiting. That's all I want to say.
And I love that actor. He is smoking hot. I
Yes, he
love
is.
Soldier Boy. He is so beautiful. And I would invite him to any place he wants to go. Not that he would need my permission, of course, Lorena, but
Mhm.
that's exactly, I think, the very important thing you brought up. This generation of Soldier Boy that would not tolerate any of the stuff that's going on these campuses today.
Nope.
It would be one and done. And then he would say, "All right, where's my drink?" This would
Yep. Which one of you is gonna go out and get my drink? But I'm
be
not 21. Who cares? Go get it anyway. Yeah, that's just
don't come back without the drink. You
all
remember
right
those?
now. If
Don't
they
come
put
back.
that line in here,
They'd be
you
like,
know you
"Don't
heard
come."
it first.
Yes. I mean, I'm hoping we see a lot of that. Maybe we will see that. Lorena, there's so much that this show can explore, and it's
Mhm.
gonna be like such a release to not worry about all the other things that we see in other college shows. This is going to be
Yeah.
the ultimate of just craziness and laughter. It's about time college campuses were fun again.
Yes, like those fun college movies we remember, but, oh
Yes,
man,
like you
I
said,
can't
Animal
wait for this.
House, like what you were what was the one that you mentioned? You mentioned another one.
I mentioned Van Wilder,
Yes,
that was one,
yes,
Back to School, that was
yes.
one, just the party college movie is a classic trope, so if they stick with that trope and they inject it with all of the canon from The Boys, like, that's gonna be cool.
It's gonna be a crazy ride, and I think we're ready for something fresh, something new like this, and something to kind of ground us again to the laughter and enjoyment we know in entertainment,
Mhm.
in a more raw and realistic way, honestly, because no campus is perfect. There's always something that goes down. Let's just go ahead, um, and
Mhm.
see that, from a different point of view. Now, there's another trailer. This is the last trailer, I
Ooh,
promise, Lorena.
boy.
I have no choice but to talk about this. It has to do, and this is kind of a long one. It has to do with the Last of Us television show that's going to be premiering on
Mm.
HBO. And as you know, The Last of Us was a highly successful video game. I played it. It was remarkable. It
Mhm.
was one of my top 5 games of all time, especially in 2012. And honestly, that was a great year for video games, and I really do miss it. Did you play part one, The Last of Us, or do you know anything about it?
I didn't know anything, about it because 'cause I'd been out of the gaming scene for quite some time, like, literally within this past year, I just started, getting back into it. So, I didn't know anything about The Last of Us until I heard about certain YouTubers getting strikes against their channel because they were talking about The Last of Us Part 2 and what was going on with Naughty Dog and all of that. So by the time the game came out, I mean, there was so much bad press about it that I didn't even really hear much about the game, but more about the actual company and their actions behind that was going on was striking YouTubers just for basically giving their opinion about the game. So I'd heard of the series and let's put it this way. Before I saw the trailer, I was kind of like, do I really want to see this? Because you got Pedro Pascal already, who was basically whining you couldn't see his face in The Mandalorian. I was like, bruh, you knew you're gonna wear a helmet, right? But I love him from Narcos.
Yes.
So so it's like, okay, I'm kind of interested. But my opinion, again, before seeing the trailer, was just like, I don't know if I even want to watch this, considering all the bad press and everything that came out from Last of Us 2. What did you think about that?
Well, you make such a good point because we anybody who played The Last of Us Part 1 fell in love with this game. And
Mhm.
it seemed like a dream come true. It was a fantastic game, and the gameplay was phenomenal. There was no downtime in the game, which means you couldn't pause like if you had to make a weapon, the game didn't pause, like you were still in danger. Something could come up from behind you. I really liked
Mhm.
a lot of the elements in the game. So we all waited so many years to get the second game, part 2. And
Mhm.
I don't think anybody really cared whether or not the second game was the best game ever written. There were a lot of funny things and odd things in it. And Neil Druckmann, who is the creator of The Last of Us, admits that's what he wanted. So he went for that. And people still play the game. Like, I still want to play the second part. But it was
Mhm.
this kerfuffle, Lorena, this kerfuffle with these YouTube strikes against people who even just mentioned the game. There was a leak with the game. There were all sorts of odd
Mhm.
things that happened
Yeah.
with it. It hit right kind of, I think maybe right before or right at the start of the pandemic. It had
Yeah.
such a bumpy ride, Lorena, and people who aren't even gamers who reported just general news got
Mhm.
strikes. It was a disaster, and certainly something that shouldn't have happened. And I couldn't help but think, what a disaster, honestly, for people who rely on the money from their channel. Now they've gotten strikes for even saying the words "The Last of Us Part 2." Sometimes not even
Exactly.
showing photographs of it, and then having this strike, meaning that you are kind of have to resolve it. You have to resolve it. Something has to be done when it
Mhm.
wasn't even their fault. It was a lot of times stills that were released by the company themselves, already available, readily available. So it
Mhm.
wasn't leaked information. People just even talking about their experience, what they're expecting. I mean, this is what we do on YouTube. We talk about experiences. And I'm not talking about pulling down a video, guys. I'm talking about a copyright strike on your channel. When you've done nothing wrong. Now, it is true that the second game, as I said, was not quite what everybody was hoping for,
Mhm.
especially since they killed off one of the main characters who I just
Y
love that man to death. Like, I would die for that guy. So the fact that he kind of was removed from it kind of hurt it. But think about it.
Mhm.
Just think about this. You are planning on making a TV show with HBO. I think it was HBO Max or just the
Yes,
regular.
HBO Max. Mhm. That's what it's gonna be
And
on.
the main character, the most important character, is this character that you killed off in the second game. It doesn't even make marketing sense, Lorena. And I have to wonder, after all the craziness, the people who are going to watch the show, who are going to watch it, are people like myself who've played this game, who love this game. I reviewed the first teaser trailer when it came out. I'm excited. Like, I'm like, good, the fireflies, you must look for the light. Like, I'm down with the jargon. I totally get this. And now
Mhm.
to find out, upon looking at the second game, which I don't own and I didn't play it, that he's gone, it hurts, Lorraine. It's actually painful to know that Joel, and there I said it, was not the same Joel we knew from the first game going into the second. And if he had included Joel or had some other side story, decided to go off on a tangent and change
Mhm.
a few things around, I think people would have just stuck with it and been fine. But the kerfuffle with the strikes, and then the change, the dramatic change in the story,
Mhm.
honestly, I think it hurt the IP, and it's probably not making a lot of people even be interested after you hear about this. I mean, Lorena, even you had mentioned, it was impossible to ignore it, Lorena. It went on for months, and people were making
Mhm.
videos about, I've had this copyright strike. There were innocent channel, like really innocent channels that were like, welcome to our channel. And today we're going to, like, really sweet channels, and then they got a copyright strike for even saying The Last of Us Part 2. And they're like, please, please, God, please, we didn't do anything wrong. Please help us. It felt like people were being punished for no reason, Lorena. And I haven't experienced such a widespread experience like this. So I had to ask myself this question, Lorena, am I gonna go ahead and watch the show? And
Mhm.
did look at the trailer. There a lot is writing on this show, Lorena. I mean, they got Pedro Pascal, as you said. He's not. You
Yeah.
don't get him for any project. This was a major project. My concern when I saw the trailer was the relationship between Ellie and Joel, and
Mhm.
I wondered if this actress could pull it off, because I love this actress, but I'm not. I don't know whether she can do this part. I know Pedro Pascal can do it, even though
Right.
he doesn't really look like Joel to me. I think Joel might. Who could play Joel? I don't know whether he doesn't look like Pedro Pascal. Pedro Pascal might be a much more attractive, sexier Joel.
Mhm. Right.
Thank you for doing that. But my question is, will this young girl have the chemistry? She was in Game of Thrones. Will she have the chemistry with Pedro to make us believe that he would do anything in the world to protect this girl, because this is what this story is about. It's about a
Mhm.
man who has to take this young girl across from, I guess, like maybe Massachusetts over to, maybe Arizona or something like that. I can't remember the exact locations. He has to transport her across the United States in a world that's ravaged by zombie style or, parasite infected individuals. And it's incredibly dangerous. It's incredibly risky. It's almost
Mhm.
impossible. Lorraine, it's an impossible journey. And you go along in this journey. You play as Joel. Sometimes you play as Ellie. It's so good. The game was so good. And I want to experience that. Can they adapt it? Lorraine, am I expecting too much? Lorraine, I want that feeling again. Am I expecting too much from this HBO Max show?
I would say no. And here's the reason why. When, granted, I didn't play the game, but if I had played the game, if I played part one, and there's a certain canon that you are used to and that you're expecting, and with all the relationships, you've been in that world. You expect that same world to be on screen. Watching that, knowing that the person responsible for how great that game was, the first part, got axed in the second, it makes you wonder if they did that to the character in the game, how faithful are they going to be to putting this series together? That is a very, very um, valid thing to ask. And I don't think you're expecting too much, because these people are expecting you to spend your time and your energy to watch this show. And this isn't just a show that came out of nowhere. This show is based on a video game series. And like I said, you all have been, when you play games like this, especially, is this first person shooter or is it RPG?
Oh my God, I'm so awful.
Just curious.
Somebody please answer this question in the chat.
Because either way, it seems like there's a story that's going on while you're playing that. So you
I
are immersed
I think
in
it's
the
first
whole.
person, and I'm sorry, Lorraine, I don't know. It's so awful that I don't
Oh,
know.
it's okay. Like I said, I've been out of gaming so long. I'm just like, is it, pick your gun up, bang, bang, pick everybody off, or cooperative, play?
Oh, someone
Third
says it's a
person
third person stealth
stealth
survival.
survival. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. So you cannot help but get immersed in all of it. I mean, gamers, you know this. You get into games like this, next thing you know, 3, 4, 5, 6, or a weekend can pass, and you're just like, it's been that long, because you're immersed in this. You know this lore, you know about it, and you're expecting to see that on screen. So I don't think that you're expecting too much. If anything, I hope they live up to the expectation of the first game, because that nonsense with the second one, like I said, if I didn't watch the trailer, because I did like the trailer, and honestly, the only reason I watched the trailer was because you told me we were going to be doing on the show today. Because as soon as I heard The Last of Us, I'm like, I'm not really interested in watching that. But I watched it. But I watched the trailer. I did like the trailer. Again, what you were saying, the relationship, to see if Pedro Pascal and the young actress who plays Ellie, that is going to be a defining relationship. It may be if it's a little off in the beginning, okay, long as I see potential that's there. But if they cannot keep that together,
Yes.
it's going to make the whole show fall apart, because from what I understand, mission number 1 is to keep her safe.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, this is it. It is. They sacrifice everything. I mean, I think that we're expecting to see the level of emotion, and
Mhm.
there are certain moments. In fact, the majority of people that I know like the series because of the relationship between Joel and Ellie. I mean,
Mhm.
it was so close. Why can't I find a decent still of this? It was so close. It was such a great experience to see that. They
Mhm.
became like father and daughter. Um,
Yeah.
and there are some valid emotional moments that didn't know I didn't know I was going to experience that when I was playing this game. I didn't know that was going to happen to me, but it happened to me. And there was this excitement that everybody had for The Last of Us Part 2, Lorena, and you can imagine.
I saw gamers when they heard what was going on and what got leaked and channels being striked. I'd never seen interest in a game crash that fast ever. And like I said, I've been out of the gaming scene for the longest time, but I remember when games were announced, people were excited to get it. It's one thing if it's like, okay, I got it, I played it, and it was crap.
Mhm.
But all of this that went on in bad publicity and just it just really sucked a lot of goodwill out of the gaming community towards from Naughty Dog. And like Naughty Dog right now, they're on the short list. I didn't even know who the heck they were. They're already on my short list from when this happened.
Well, I think it was I think what you mentioned about them being on the short list is correct. It became a buyer beware situation because you just didn't know what could happen or how far a company might go. And they could have just said, if it was just casual thing and they'd said, look, we understand what happened and we apologize for this, or it got out of hand, would have been totally different. But remember, these are your fans who should be excited about the show. These are your fans who would be the ones watching the show. And now
Mhm.
we've been through all this. It's like, imagine if this was a relationship when it felt like a relationship. You
Yeah.
had this relationship where you trusted. We spent what, 40 hours playing this game, 40, 60, in my case, 100, 200 hours
Mhm.
playing
Yeah.
the game. For everybody else, it takes 40 hours, but for me, maybe it took 200 hours. And every day I
Mhm.
turned on the console and I was excited to play this game. So, to break that bond and that relationship really kind of hurt. And even now, I can kind of look at The Last of Us Part 2, and I'm going to wrap it up because we got to talk about this other thing about LA Comic Con. Even now, when I look at it, I still have that wonderful feeling inside between Ellie and Joel, but it's
Mhm.
going to take a lot. And I think maybe Pedro Pascal can pull it off. Maybe this young lady who is his co-star will make that bond with him, Lorena, on the show. I sure hope she can. This is a picture of her here where they're hiding out,
Mhm.
hiding from these creatures. You can't see them, but the creatures are kind of up there. And these things are nasty, Lorena. Um, okay. I'm gonna
Are they
watch.
nasty? Are they like alien nasty?
They look like the creatures from uh what's that show? Stranger Things, but smaller, like the way the head flaps come out after a
Uh-huh.
while, like their heads turn. It's like a mushroom infection or something on their head, and they're called clickers. Yeah.
Mm.
I promised myself I would play the game before the TV series comes out, before the HBO Max series comes out. So I
Mhm.
am gonna play it. But I have to tell you, Lorena, or you can watch the walkthroughs. I've watched so many hours of this game, it's ridiculous. But honestly, Lorena, this game is not for everybody, but if you like horror, survival, as Read by Nature called it. The fact that I couldn't remember what it was. If you like that type of game, third person self survival, it's stunning. It's stunning, Lorena. And I think it might have been one of the best games ever made, part one. Um,
Mhm.
but let's see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, it'll probably get, that first episode bump for people being, curious as to what it is. If I look at the quality of the trailer, it's pretty good. It's made me change my mind about not at least checking out the first episode, but we'll see where it goes from there.
We will. And oh my gosh, we're almost at the end of the show. We have one more topic, Lorena, and it has to do with LA Comic Con. So, as you know, Lorena,
Yeah.
I am here in LA and I attended LA Comic Con last weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I had a great time. I picked up a bunch of stuff. I got to show you this thing that I picked up, because I can't help myself. It's one of those type of
Ooh.
things.
Oh, I love the 80s theming on there.
I know, right?
It's so cute. I love it. I
So you
love
put
it.
it goes on, like it illuminates. You have to put it on the backboard and it'll be light. But
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I love the 80s. I love the 80s. So those are, you go to the con, there are all these wonderful things. Now, of
Mhm,
course, guys, as you know, now Lorena, you stream a lot with Chris Gore. You know him very well. He's on your channel a lot. So
mhm,
you know him, over the past few years. Chris Gore has a few panels at the con this year. And I did just want to kind of just mention one of them. Well, first of all, he had a special screening of his movie. Chris Gore made a movie. And of course it's not in front of me right now, but what's the point? The point is that we got to see a special preview of his movie. It's called G4 TV Attack of the
the
Doc.
doc,
Yeah.
yes.
And I do just want to I'm not going to say much more about it other than to say it's fantastic. Congratulations to Chris Gore and the Film Threat team for an amazing documentary. I'm very lucky to see that, Lorena. Now, the other thing that I was going to say is he also had another panel called Docs That Rock, or documentaries you have to see. As you know, his channel
Mhm,
mainly or often focuses on independent film, and we
mhm,
love that as well. But the other panel that I wanted to mention, Lorena, was a panel that I also attended, and I thought it was really important, mainly because of the climate of films that we've been experiencing, and
mhm,
perhaps things that we didn't really care for with a lot of these films, and it has to do with where modern cinema falls short. Now, in this
mm.
particular panel was Paulie from Latino Slant. Um,
Yes, Polly.
Chris Gore, Alan Ning, Dante James, all from Film Threat, Anna, that Star Wars girl, and of course Gary from Nerdrotic. A fantastic panel, and they asked some really interesting questions, and I did kind of like want to pose the questions to you and I. One
Mhm,
fundamental question that they were asking had to do with the idea of why are so many, not all, but so many of these
mhm,
modern films falling short of expectations for so many viewers like you and I. And Lorraine, I just want to just throw it out there before we close today. What are some of your thoughts? Because it was a great panel. I think Chris has it on Film Threat. You guys can watch the whole panel there. What do you think, Lorena? Why are so many modern films? This is in the spirit of LA Comic Con in a panel. We have our own panel, the two of us.
mhm.
Why is modern cinema falling short? Briefly, in your thoughts.
I would say at the crux of it, failing to do basic storytelling. And when I say that, I'll hold up RRR as an example. I do not speak Telugu. I did not speak any of the languages that it was released in at the time. It's in English now, but at the time, all I had was subtitles. But the story elements were there. They knew how to tell the story. The rising action, introducing the characters, introducing the conflict, setup, payoff, setup, payoff, setup, payoff, the hero's journey. We just cared about the story. And unfortunately, in Hollywood now, it's more about the ancillary products, the t-shirts, the Funko Pops, the licensing deals, getting, seeing characters in like Nissan commercials, things, things like that. And like the movie is the last thing that anyone thinks about. And again, it's just a basic storytelling. They've gotten away from doing that. And also not putting trust in the viewer to make a decision about their art. It used to be when films came out and a lot of these directors took risks with putting, things out there. Um they were like, this is my art, and they put it out there and allowed you, the viewer, to make up your mind and take away from it what it is that you wanted to take away from it. They weren't trying to give you a directive and hit you over the head with it, like, get the message, it's this message, it's this message. I don't trust you to come up with your own conclusion, so I'm going to tell you what your conclusion is going to be. And it's insulting your audience, and people can feel that. And when they feel that, they're just like, well, why the heck should I put my money down to watch something just for you to preach at me. If I want somebody to preach at me, I'll go to church. I don't need to sit in a movie,
And
and do that. But you notice so many films that have resonated with audiences and that have made money stick to what good storytelling is. They're not dictating to you what to get away from it, and they're not insulting the audience in a bad way. They're not. I mean, they might put some bad jokes in there. It was like, okay, come on, but overtly insulting your audience. The best films aren't doing that, at all. And it's sad because what Hollywood used to do, other film industries around the world are doing much better at it, and that's the reason why so many people are looking to foreign cinema and, of late, Indian cinema, to get that type of great storytelling that we used to have.
yeah, I agree with you, especially when it comes to RRR. And as I've said to some people, one thing that I noticed about RRR is that when you have a good film, even if there are things that are unbelievable in the film that are not possible, you don't care. Like the bridge scene where they hold onto each other's hands, they're like holding each other's hands like this.
Mm-hmm.
And they're supposed to hold, and we know it's impossible. I know it's impossible. I don't care that it's impossible. I cheered so loud when they say that little boy from the fire. I did not care. I was like, yes, yes. And that shows us that it represents perhaps things that you can't explain in life. Yes, we can't do that, but it has that sense of mystery and escapism from everyday life. The romance of movies, the romance of even just having love scenes. We
Mm-hmm.
aren't seeing movies that reflect relationships in real life. So we're not seeing people have normal romantic relationships, and we're certainly not seeing the romance of escapism there. But
No.
but for me, we're also not seeing age appropriate and situation appropriate sex and nudity and intimacy. I don't care what anybody says. Shuri is an attractive princess. And I think any princess, any man would want to be with that woman. And we didn't see that in the film. And I'm telling myself, I'm like, why isn't he? What's going on? He, even if he's whatever his intentions is, he should be like, I can't resist this girl. She's very, very sweet. He would be all up on this. So when we get kind of like these situations where we don't see that, it feels very soulless, like what you said, Lorena. And my final thought on this is the vilification of men. We have to, kind of shut that down. Guys, you
Yeah.
count. We need you. I want to see as many men as possible. No more vilification. We need you. It's fine for the men to save the day. I'm fine with that. But they remove a lot of that. Think about Black Adam, not the best script out there, but we got to see some elements where we didn't have the message, like what you mentioned, Lorena. There was no
Mm-hmm.
message, and we got to see testosterone. I could smell it in the theater. And fantastic looking characters. Certainly something that we wanted and that we need in our films to inspire us. It felt hopeful. He had gone through so much, and now he was going to be doing something different with his life. Gee, who would have thought that Black Adam, even though he could be a villain, could still, this was unbelievable. And that's what we want to see, that escapism, that excitement of something that we weren't expecting, kind of taking us away from real life, because
Mm-hmm.
it certainly wasn't an everyday story, was it? But Lorena, thank you so much for joining me again for
Oh, absolutely.
another episode of Ladies of the PGS. Lorena, where can people find you?
Well, folks, you can find me, of course, here on Mondays at 6 p.m. Eastern here on the Burnett Network with You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter, causing all kinds of mischief. And of course, you can find me on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, various videos, live streams. I live stream with her and record videos also with her. Love having her on my channel. And yeah, so please do subscribe if you are so inclined. And as always, thank you guys so much for being here and supporting the show.
Absolutely, guys. Subscribe to Lorraine's channel and also subscribe to my channel, Positive Fandom. We are on the Burnett Network, but we do have our own channels. So please subscribe to them if you like the type of content we're bringing you here. As Lorraine said, I do stream with Lorraine quite often, watch parties. We have our show on Thursday nights, Toxic Male Appreciation on her Twitch channel. We also do anime nights, other types of events too. So do please check those out when we're on the air or on the replay. Check me out on Positive Fandom for my Sunday brunch show at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sundays. Sometimes I'm on Midnight's Edge on Fridays, and also sometimes I'm on the 1/6 Scale Man Network on either Say What or Uncivilized Scoundrels. And on the weekends, sometimes you can find me here on the Burn Network with Robert on our show Midnight Musings. So please do continue to like and subscribe to the channels. We so appreciate your support. This has been so much fun, Lorraine. It always comes, the hour goes by so fast,
I
Lorraine.
know, it flies.
Thank you, everybody in the chat, for your support. Tom Jr. Jackson, we are all goof people. Tom Jr. Jackson, thank you for moderating and being a collaborator and supporter as always. And for everybody out there, no matter where you are in the galaxy, always do remember to be kind. Take care, everybody.